Now, I know this is one of my off days, but it has a lot of significance, and therefore I'm posting on Wednesday and not on Thursday this week. Same number of videos, just on different days. Anyhow, I've made a lot of videos recently on faith, specifically on religious faith, although certainly it doesn't have to be. And as I've said over the years, that I have no faith at all. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the religious definition of faith, which is strong belief in God or in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof, or a more secular version like complete trust or confidence in someone or something. I entirely lack that, and I wanted to explain why. Now, I wanted to start off with the religious definition because that's where I run into these claims most often. According to Hebrews 11:1, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the confidence of things not seen. In other words, faith is wishful thinking. It is believing things for which you have no good evidence and accepting propositions that you have no good reason to think are so. Having religious faith is nothing to be proud of. I'd argue that it's something you should be ashamed of. It's pure gullibility and irrationality and delusion rolled into one absurd belief that no intelligent person should ever hold. But that's the very definition of religion, isn't it? But the religious in particular want to pretend that everyone has faith, that everyone is irrational and gullible and operates without caring about the evidence. And this is an absurd proposition and one that I entirely reject. That's not to say that there aren't stupid people out there that operate via faith, that simply go with what they wish was true and completely reject looking at the evidence if it falls outside their emotional comfort. Of course that happens, and I think those people are every bit as bad as the religious for being irrational morons. One argument that I hear a lot is, you can't prove love. Well, beyond the fact that you can prove love, we can show that someone loves something based on fMRI scans because love, like all emotions, is an electrochemical reaction in the brain. I call bullshit. Granted, there are a lot of people out there who don't know what love is. They practice physical gratification or physical attraction and think, wow, they're in love. These people are ridiculous, and I'd argue that's why the divorce rate is at the absurd heights that it is, because people don't know what love is. And they also don't know how to check anything out. I believe the term is trust but verify. It goes for everything. I don't care how much you want something to be true. You have to do your due diligence to ensure that it actually is. Now, the reason I'm posting today is because today is my 25th wedding anniversary. I've been married to a wonderful woman for 25 very happy years. And to be honest, I couldn't imagine life without her. Over the years, I have had people, mostly religious people, demanding that I must have faith that my wife loves me. No, I don't. I have no faith whatsoever. What I have is evidence-based confidence. I don't just believe this out of the blue. I look at the evidence and make my judgment based thereon. Do I want to believe that my wife loves me? Of course I do. But I don't just insist that she must because I'm emotionally invested in it being so, but because she acts and has acted in a manner which objectively supports that position. I can look at her behavior over the course of more than 25 years, since we were engaged for a couple of years before we got married, and based on that behavior, I can rationally conclude that the most likely explanation for her long-term loving behavior is indeed love. And hopefully, she can judge the same thing from my long-term behavior toward her. I don't want her to blindly believe that I love her. I want the belief to come from a long-standing, rational observation of the facts. It might not be as emotionally comforting for people to step back and evaluate their romantic partner that way, but it certainly does, at least in my opinion, lead to a much more balanced and long-lasting relationship. And that's how things used to be done. People got to know each other. They didn't just run off to get married 15 minutes after meeting. They didn't just leap into bed with each other. They didn't move in together. They got to know each other in great depth and didn't move forward until they were confident that it was the right move. There was a belief that it was one and done. And I'm not really trying to criticize anyone. I'm just noting that divorce rates for previous generations were nowhere as high as they are today. You made a commitment for life, sometimes for religious reasons, but my wife and I certainly never did. And you absolutely didn't make that commitment unless you were reasonably certain you could keep it. That's why absolutely no one in either of our families has ever gotten divorced. My parents were together until my father died. My wife's parents are still together. All of our grandparents were together until death. And so far as I know, all of our aunts and uncles were together until death did they part. I'm not aware of a single divorce in the extended family at all. It's not luck. It's evidence-based confidence and dedication over a lifetime of commitment. There's no faith involved. I trust her because she's earned that trust through more than a quarter century of demonstrable commitment. So the idea that somehow I have this blind faith that she loves me is absurd on the face of it. I can take the same idea and apply it to every relationship I have. Do I trust my employers? Well, yes, but only because they've earned it. I certainly wouldn't trust some random stranger on the street without being able to evaluate their trustworthiness. I trust my friends, again, because their actions have proven that I can. I don't have faith in their ability to come through on promises. I know that they can be trusted because in the many, many instances in life that they've made such promises, they've always kept their word. Of course, that's not proof that they will always keep their word, but it is enough to know that the chances are better than even that they will carry through with their promises. No blind faith required, and none of these positions are eternal. They are always open to change. My friends could betray me tomorrow. My wife could stop loving me the day after. No rational position lasts mindlessly forever. It's in a constant state of flux. You keep looking at the evidence to see if things have changed. If I start finding out that my friends are lying to me, I might have to reevaluate those relationships. If I find out that my wife is cheating on me, I might have to rethink whether she loves me or not. That might not be comforting for a lot of people, but who the hell cares? Reality isn't about comfort. Reality is about determining the most likely truth by evaluating the available evidence. It isn't something you do once, it's something you do forever. And I don't care if that makes you feel good. It's how reality works. No faith required, because faith is irrational on its face. Faith is intellectually lazy, and that's why I reject it in all its forms. I have no faith. I have a well-reasoned, evidence-based, provisional confidence in things that I have personally checked out and found to be reasonable. I am not only open to, but actively engaged in looking at new information on a daily basis to see if my conclusions are still supported by the facts. There's no such thing as, this is what I believe forever and ever. I'm not stupid. And frankly, I'm sick and tired of dealing with people who are.